Yeah, like Rajesh said, we spent quite a long time thinking about this and discussing this. If I think back to Rajat more specifically, my discussions with Rajat went back to last season when we talked a little bit about his captaincy aspirations, just me trying to find out a little bit more about him. And at the end of that conversation, it became quite clear to me that Rajat was quite keen to take on captaincy, and he was going to proactively speak to his state about some opportunities there, which has then played out for him. And we've been able to observe him in that environment. So I suppose planting some of those seeds a year ago was quite useful and quite important in terms of where we've ended up. The process itself, you go back to probably the difficult decision we had to make about Faf. Faf had been an absolute champion for this franchise as a player and as a leader. Andy and I certainly enjoyed working really closely with him. Unfortunately, given probably age and stage of his career, we had to think at the start of a cycle about probably somebody that can take us on through this auction cycle and then maybe even beyond. And that meant that we made a really difficult decision to move on from Faf, but that certainly wasn't easy. And then with our retentions, it's probably worth noting that we obviously retained 3 players, 3 Indians, and of those 3, it's worth saying that both Virat and Rajat were obviously credible captaincy options for us going into the auction. And then at the auction itself, we spent quite a lot of time thinking about leadership characteristics. We didn't necessarily want to go into the auction and have our heart set on a captain, because we felt that was quite a dangerous approach, and then you end up probably overvaluing somebody potentially. We just wanted to recruit as good and as strong a squad as possible, a balanced squad, and try and have a number of leadership options that could present themselves. So that's how we approached our auction. And if you look at some of the players we recruited, in addition to the likes of Rajat and Virat, if you look at the players that we brought in, you've got Krunal, Bhuvi, Jitesh, amongst the Indians, with a lot of experience and leadership, credibility and experience in the game. And then also from the overseas contingent, someone like Josh Hazelwood, Phil Salt, Liam Livingston. These are all guys that have captained teams and maybe even captained their countries. So we knew that we had quite a big group of sort of options going into, coming out of the auction, should I say. And then after that, we got into a little bit more detail. We spent some time discussing things with the likes of DK, who's obviously a really important part of our management team now. Had multiple conversations with Virat. Even had some discussions with Rajat. And I say discussions, they probably felt a little bit more like interviews for Rajat. But Andy and I spent some time talking to Rajat about his captaincy aspirations. And what struck us was that he was very determined and ambitious about leadership and captaincy. And he really wanted to do this. And that was really important for us to understand and feel. As Andy said, we had a really good chance to observe Rajat captaining during the Saeed Mushtaq Ali competition, as well as the other guys. We observed the likes of Krunal, Jitesh and Bhuvi too. But in particular, watching Rajat closely and seeing how, not only how he captained, but how he played during those pressure games in that competition was really encouraging for us. And then after that, probably had a few more discussions, again, in particular, taking input from Virat, who's a person that Andy and I lean on quite a lot for his knowledge and experience, and then discussing it internally as a management team. We felt pretty clear that, for us, there was compelling evidence that Rajat was a really good option for us. And, all the reasons that Andy said, but, for me in particular, really good timing. Fresh squad, fresh captaincy, the start of a new cycle, and for the franchise, the start of a new chapter. Felt like it made a lot of sense for us. And then in particular for me, just reinforcing the points Andy made about Rajat's personality. He's calm, he's focused, and in particular, one of the traits I love most about him is he's very brave under pressure. And in those moments of games where the game's on the line, it's typically been Rajat throwing a few punches for us. And if he can take all of that into his captaincy, which I'm sure he will, and he certainly has done for his state, I think it will stand the team in really good stead.
Thank you for that, Mo. You already alluded to it. Just curious though, what were the other potential options for RCB captains? And was Virat one of the potential options to be captain again?
Yeah, look, I talked through some of the options there in the people that we recruited. So Andy and I felt quite blessed that we had quite a few to choose from. Whether we went Indian or overseas was an important discussion point for us. We felt quite strongly that an Indian captain was preferable. That's nothing against any overseas options, of course. We've talked glowingly about Faf, but we're really keen on an Indian option, primarily because it's an Indian competition on Indian pitches against predominantly Indian players. So somebody who's got that local knowledge and insight is really, really helpful for us. So look, lots of options. Of course, Virat was an option. That goes without saying, and I know that the fans would have probably lent towards Virat in the first instance, but we've seen a lot of love for Rajat too. Look, my point on Virat would be that Virat doesn't need a captaincy title to lead. I think leadership, as we've all seen, is one of his strongest instincts. I think it just comes naturally to him. He leads regardless. For us, even last year with Faf as captain, we saw every bit of that. He leads as an example with the bat. The volume of runs and the strike rate that he scored at last year was so impressive and so important for us. He set the tone. He leads in the field. I can think of 2 or 3 specific instances where he's actually created run-out chances and wickets from nothing. He sets the tone. Everyone in the field knows that they've got to be up to their standards because of him. He sets the tone with his energy often. Everyone's seen how much he likes a fight and a scrap and how much he wants to be the person getting us over the line. And then also the things that people don't see as much is his professionalism, the way he practices, the way he trains, his gym routines, his lifestyle, his nutrition. He's an example. So, look, I think everybody in the country and everyone in the world knows that Virat's a leader in every sense of the word. Andy and I lean on him quite a lot. Faf has lent on him quite a lot, and we're pretty sure that Rajat will be leaning on him too. Andy and I spent some time with Virat earlier this week, actually, in Ahmedabad, and it was really nice getting some time with him and talking things through with him. And what was so obvious was he had so much energy and excitement for this decision and this appointment. And you probably saw it in the short video as well. He's so pleased for Rajat. Like us, he knows how deserving Rajat is of this opportunity, and he's right behind him. And we saw a real sense of energy and excitement from him. So, look, of course he was an option, but for all the reasons that we've stated about Rajat, this felt like really good timing for us. And it's brilliant to know that Virat's on board and he's right behind him.